We have the,
oh boy.
the convincing leak, which is genuinely, obviously you can meme that, but like, oh, convincing, fuck off, it's not. It actually is. I look at him like, this is just the right level of wrong to be completely accurate.
It's that thing for me where it's like, fake as fuck, but let's go. Let's go have some fun. And to be honest, if that leak was true, I'd have a few little, gotta do this bit, right? But I'd be pretty happy. And also, I would kind of wonder, if that leak is true, then has Jared, in his spare time, managed to hack Blizzard servers, steal all their data, because that leak heavily reinforces a lore video that we have planned. And this is a great thing. So, and I'm going to record a video on this soon for the patrons. But one of the reasons we had a bunch of issues last year, and we were left at the start of this year thinking, okay, we have dropped so many balls. We can only pick these balls up one at a time, because unlike last year, instead of spreading too thin, fucking it all up, we got to do things right. So we decided the first thing to prioritize before we get into going into the podcast and all the other things that we really want to be doing, we decided the first thing to really get down was our production schedule.
Yes,
because ultimately that's what's going to make everyone more happy, especially working here. So that means that we are fairly ahead of ourselves in terms of videos. So yeah, there's a video coming out in like 2 weeks maybe that Jared's done. Really cool. That could kind of reinforce this. So,
Yeah.
Put a big smile on my face when I saw that leak. Even though, I mean, look, it's a leak. That does mean by default, it's probably not real.
Yeah, even if it is, even if it does claim to be from a private game dev Discord, which is, obviously, they just say that. Just say, oh, this is from a game dev Discord. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Which Discord? Oh, I don't know.
Well, that's what all game developers under NDAs do.
Yep.
They go and they share the beans.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So let's dive then into the 10.0 leak.
Yep.
This is fairly interesting stuff.
Yes.
So then, are you ready, Matt, for World of Warcraft, the Dragon Isles?
That is absolutely in no capacity what they're ever going to call an expansion. But you can see how they could easily go something, they could do something like it. They could go dragon something.
Dragonlands.
The dragoning, yeah. The Dragon Crusade, I don't know.
Oh dear. World of Warcraft, please come back!
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yes, so according to this leak, it's World of Warcraft, the Dragon Isles. All marketing being put together has a tagline, Azeroth has awoken. New zone, Dragon Isles. New race, Black Dragons. New system, world shaping. So it actually gets more plausible as you go into the details of this leak, which, is either a great thing if this is true, or it's just, hey, you did a good leak. But let's talk about the end of the Shadowlands. This is the very plausible part, but also we're close enough to the end of the Shadowlands where you could pretty obviously make an informed, educated guess. But go into it. In the fight with the jailer, Azeroth is ruptured. Now, that's not much of a surprise when you are fighting the Chuckler. He is in front, or at least it seems like anyway from the screenshots, he's in front of this like big Azerite pillar.
Yeah, the beam.
Or beam even. So he's like, I think he's directly attacking Azeroth too if you read the spell descriptions.
Yes, literally spend. Yeah. That's literally the point of the fight, is to not let him destroy Azeroth or kill Azeroth.
So, I mean, there's that. Now, we beat the jailer, we saved the planet, but there are consequences. That is, of course, completely in line with how Blizzard like to, do things. We achieve our goal, but we accidentally maybe do a whoopsie, or there's always more to the story.
Yeah,
so,
as the phrase people probably haven't heard online for quite some time, consequences will never be the same.
So there's going to be some stay a while and listen events after the fight that describe the state of Azeroth. I'm down for that. Apparently, Magni reverts back into a diamond form, which
from diamond form.
Huh?
From diamond form.
Oh, I read that completely wrong. Yep. So Magni gets to be a fleshy man.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of sucks for him, because probably a bit less immortal.
Yeah, but also,
does this mean he has a crystalline liver? How does it work? Yeah. That's not important. That doesn't need to be explained.
Yeah, I mean that's for every advantage you could think of for being a diamond, is also probably some disadvantages. I mean, what's the whole story of King Midas? Obviously, that was what he touched turned to gold. But imagine you're like, fucking hell, it's cold in here and I'm a diamond. Can't feel any warmth. Fuck that noise.
Damn, yeah. Can't eat food as a diamond.
Yeah, especially not because if you're a diamond and you're eating food, people just see it inside. You're like, what the?
Oh, no.
You're walking around, just there's some chewed up food visible through them.
God, yeah. The plight of being a transparent being.
Oh, dear.
Or translucent being, whatever. So, to move on, 9.2.5 pre-expansion event is being put together. Apparently, it's huge. Loads of reused assets like earthquakes and invasions, but also a massive time-walking event that's being designed as a mini-season of mastery across lots of Azeroth in the dungeons and the raids. The devs want players familiar with the history of Azeroth before 10.0, sort of enjoy it, I suppose. English isn't always perfect, but basically it's a big tour of old events and lore. Now, I would be over the moon if something like this happened. Of course, if I was writing a leak, I'd also write that in. One of the parts, I cut a lot of it from the video, but I think some of it still is in that video. I did it was my sort of idea for what a 9.2 that would kind of work for everybody, including the people who don't like Shadowlands, well, that would be. And one of the things that I really tried to include in that was a big epilogue patch.
Yeah.
So if that could happen, that would be really nice. It's a bit cool the way that FF14 has got, your point 1, point 2, and point 3 has kind of continued the storyline of the expansion. Then sometimes the point 4 and the point 5 are, well, they're not that. They're maybe setting up the new thing or whatever.
They're leading to the new story.
Yeah, and that's always nice because it just means that the story feels nice and smooth. Epilogues are important. I mean, the Legion Epilogue patch, 7.3.5, it was really small, didn't have a whole bunch of content, but it was nice just seeing those, epilogue cutscenes, learning about the state of the world, seeing what it's like for our characters. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Sad they didn't do it in BFA, which really needed it, almost more than Legion, given how, BFA was pretty big for what it meant for the factions.
No, I think the other thing I think is, especially when it comes to large content droughts of, this final patch, the expansion's X months away, be that double-digit months or whatever else, as we've seen in the past, it just stops you from this, feeling this, I guess you're in the middle of this thing, and you're just in the middle of this thing for 18 months, or 12 months, or 50 months, whatever it might be. So even just little, hey, here's the world everyone's all sort of chilling at, it's just so much, it helps sort of, hard to really describe the feeling, but I remember playing so much of Mists in that last patch and just been like, man, this is really tiring. Being in, oh my god, the Siege of Orgrimmar, Garsh is going to kill everyone for a year. It's weird.
Yeah, just even that feeling that there's a thing going on is so important to how I guess just how people find it. So there you go. I mean, look, fuck, man, the idea of something like that, is that not, the Legion Prepatch event wrote large?
Yeah.
Do you know what the most crazy thing was? Right, so listen to this, everyone. And I kind of have numbers to back this up. Now, part of it is because I fucked up the data because I grinded so hard making content during this. But let's just say, if you're a young YouTuber, you're doing World of Warcraft content, and it's the end of Warlords of Draenor.
Finally.
There's not much in the way of cool new videos to make.
Yeah.
Right? But, it was nice making all the Legion beta stuff, whatever, so that was all sweet. But it was one of those more sleepy times. Now, I remember that, it was building and building and building and building. And then, soon as they had that pre-patch come out, and the Legion pre-patch, where you could level the characters really quick, and you just had this feeling of, fuck, man, look at this. It's Azeroth. There's people everywhere. They're having fun. They're doing their thing. Holy shit, I haven't seen this in so long. And I remember just seeing how much people were just Googling World of Warcraft, and while things were happening, my views just went, Nyoom! It was up to 7.5 million a month.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, we have 4 channels. And I think when they're all pumping, we can hit a 7 million views a month. But it was back then from one channel. That is how much people were fucking, let's go, Azeroth. And then obviously the War of Thorns.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Shadowlands one, I think it was a step up from the War of Thorns, but it wasn't big cummies, right? There was no cummies at all.
Yeah, I guess it's a case of the reasons you would have to do it as a player for preparation, because in terms of it wasn't that major, the Shadowlands Prepatch. I don't remember the BFA one very well, but I know the Shadowlands one was do some shit north sound, whereas the Legion one was everyone's level characters, especially when it's every class has seen a major revamp. All the animations are new. Oh shit, let's go. Let's see. Let's how I feel this big. I guess this big rejuvenated, revitalized game. And I think that's especially when you look at the difference between everyone literally being in their garrison, hidden to the average person. Just it's only them in their on their lonesome, or everyone just piled in Ashran generally. Some maybe flying around Tanaan doing stuff, but then you go to Legion Prepatch, like everyone in the world is all across Azeroth. And it felt like this massive leap from
Totally.
what's this new weird World of Warcraft where everyone's in an instance 99% of the time, to oh shit, the world's alive. That combined with the fact that people had lots of reason to do it.
It felt incredible.
Just incredible for, I guess, overall player experience, and especially community experience as opposed to player experience. Really good.
And imagine too if they did that, but they had Legion Time Walking be active.
Yeah.
So then you have this environment where people are like, shit, you're telling me that this is the time for me to do alts? And the Mage Tower is up? And maybe then, and the Brawlers Guild is up? And there's just like those little events and things you can do in your character. It would be so powerful. And then even the idea, like, much as it had its issues, the, what should we call it? Is it Ultimates in FF14? That's the chain of like 3 bosses. It's the Ultimates, right? Yeah. So we'll call this the Anniversary Ultimate, right? Now, it was only an Ultimate because nobody knows how to cope with Defile on Lich King, but that was so cool. And that does kind of show us that like, oh, wait, shit, some of these fights, look, they're not going to be super mega peak modern game design, It's not like we're going to go and do an average TBC or maybe a Wrath boss and be like, oh my god, this is as good as Painsmith. That's not going to happen, but it's still a really good experience. It still is a big MMO boss fight that's fun. Yeah. So I just think, man, the power they could have from that is just insane. That would be so cool. Mm-hmm. So look, even if this is, here's the thing, right? These fake leaks and seeing where the leaks or even if this is real or fake, who the hell knows? But even if it is fake, discussing it is worthwhile to see what would we think about these things. And I actually think that, like, even for the WoW devs, it might be interesting seeing the community response to leaks, just in the same way that, they might send out a survey to players to see what the players will think. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't remember who it was, but I saw someone say that in chat earlier. Like, this is clearly, well, not clearly, but positing the idea that this is a fake leak from Blizzard to gauge the temperature of what they're planning. Obviously now they would be very, very, very I'd be very worried, at least, if they were in their planning stage now. Mm-hmm. But you can obviously see the logic of feedback to this hypothetical is very, very useful for them. Yeah, it'd be nice if they could, maybe if there's a fake expansion leak about a year ago, maybe, or 6 months ago, maybe it'd be very useful. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. So as we move on, then. So look, just big tour of old events and lore. Hey, Blizz, celebrate Azeroth. Take me back to Westfall. Take me to Redridge. Take them back to Durotar. Right? Man, we love that shit. That is, I mean, not only when you do that is it like just, cool zone, place where people feel at home, but you're also like totally benefiting from nostalgia because we're remembering being, in some cases, literal fucking children. Yep. So I think that would be so powerful. Now, apparently also there's Crazed Trogs, Quilboar, Mantid, Elemental Invasions across most of Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdoms, Northrend, and Pandaria. A new world boss, Garadon, son of Galakrond, which is a big for the lore. That said, I think there's few people as interested in Galakrond as us.
Indeed.
There is one of the lore walking episodes for the patrons that, I mean, admittedly, obviously that was a while ago, but I still think it's a very relevant podcast. Galakrond's very interesting.
Yeah.
In the sort of context they're having right now.
Galakrond, it was very interesting in the context of death and the Shadowlands and the Jiller. Substantially less now that we've seen where that story's gone and there's been no like real links whatsoever. So what that ultimately then means is that Galakrond is actually more relevant now because the connection wasn't there.
Yeah. Which
means if the connection wasn't via death to the Jiller, then the connection and, the necromancy of Maldraxxus and stuff like that, then the connection must in fact be to other dragon stuff or proto-dragon stuff or even whatever is, I guess whatever's under Northrend that gives it that connection to death. that was maybe why the Lich King was sent there in the first place, etc., etc. All that kind of good thematic juiciness you can sort of work on. So, Galakrond having a son, that being in relation to the Dragon Isles, that being a way they further Galakrond's story, the prototype of the Proto-Dragon story, the Aspect story, and also deal with a little bit of Northrend stuff and why the Proto-Drakes were in Northrend to begin with, how they grew up there, the fact that they probably didn't come from there but came from the Dragon Isles, and then also Yogg-Saron death stuff. All very, very interesting.
Yeah.
That's literally just because one character's potential son.
Big.
Great. Yep.
Big. Fucking big.
Yep.
And I guess, hey, almost a tie to Hallian. You know, the idea of like, oh, we're going to stem the tide a little bit. Here's a dragon.
Yeah.
Obviously not that Hallian was the most, or was it Hallian? Whatever the hell he was called. The dragon they added after ICC. So yeah, there we go. I mean, hey, I'm 100% for all of this. Now let's move on to World of Warcraft, the Dragon Isles, and what that apparently, if this league is to be believed, is going to be. So, the 10.0 cinematic being put together is the biggest they've ever produced. The entire cinematic team has been developing it for over a year. All Shadowlands pre-rendered cinematics were scrapped and the whole team moved on to this. It's a love letter to Azeroth, mirrors the original WoW launch cinematic, and ends with Azeroth being born. Now, here's the deal. What has the cinematics team been doing as of late? Because if I think about it, the new Diablo game is going to have a raft of cinematics.
Definitely.
And Overwatch is probably going to have a few of them as well.
Especially with story focused.
Those games have been delayed and delayed and delayed. Rebooted and rebooted and rebooted. Well, not Overwatch 2, but D4 had numerous reboots. Which, I mean, look, shit happens. It's game development. We're not going to beat them up for that. I mean, that said, it probably sucks for the staff who are thinking, but what about my profit share?
Where's my money, Blizzard?
What's this whole better times are just around the corner thing? Oh, dear. So there is that. But
just around the corner, but turns out Blizzard's game development is a circle.
Oh, from a completely, almost a radically only player-focused perspective. Is this one of the lower quantity of full Blizzard CG cinematics per year? Is this one of the lower sort of...
Oh, I would imagine.
Kind of has to be.
Yeah,
right?
I'm mostly thinking immediately from memory, like all of the stuff from BFA.
Yeah.
It's just Shadowlands has had none of that, really.
And of course, BFA was the first time we ever got that.
Yeah.
But
it didn't work out, but yeah.
So, you know what? Like, well, was it the case that in BFA, they weren't quite ready to do the act cinematics for the new Diablo game?
Yeah.
Or maybe they weren't quite ready to do the Overwatch ones. Could that be the case, and that's why they had the free time to do the BFA stuff?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. But I suppose this is sort of plausible, and if they really thought, okay, we definitely have an issue here with WoW, certainly a massive cinematic would be... I mean, look, if they just make it like, hey, here's a short film. Bam. Like, that would have people... I mean, look, pretty simple. Sploosh.
Especially if it is...
Cream drawers across the planet.
Yeah.
That's what people have been fucking begging for years.
Yeah. Especially if it sort of breaks this trend of Shadowlands, Cosmic Lore,
Yeah.
If they're like, here's, like this is laid out, if it is this great thing about, being the love letter to Azeroth, being the mirror of the original, all that stuff, if it is that, then people would just kind of go mental.
Yeah.
Easy. Even, well, less people than if they did it a couple of years ago, but still,
Oh, I'd be on top of this roof screaming like Florida Man in joy if they pulled it off.
Yeah.
So look, that would be interesting. Now this idea, Azeroth being born, has to happen sometime, but
does it though?
I don't know. So like, here's the thing. Because as we get into this, it's not as preposterous as you think. Because when I hear Azeroth being born, I'm like, okay, shit. So the chick inside the egg hatches. That's not good for the egg, and we live in the egg.
Yeah,
it's different.
Yeah, because this is all metaphysics land.
It's different, and somehow Bruce Willis is involved.
Definitely.
Because it's just like the fifth element, apparently. Yep. So, as a result, direct one of the Jailer's assault, Azeroth the Eternal is born from the world's soul. And she's a dragon. And we kind of thought about it and was like, that actually tracks. Yeah, Azeroth being a dragon could make more sense than Azeroth being a troll. And It or being troll-like in appearance, and it would also kind of fit a video Jared's been thinking about. So that would be really cool.
Yeah, because for a very brief explainer, I think that obviously like the way civilization grew up on Azeroth, everyone immediately goes to, oh, it was the trolls. It was the trolls that grew up around the Well of Eternity after his shard dripped out. Always makes sense. And then the trolls, over time with explosion magic became the elves. That's it. So clearly Azeroth is going to be a troll or an elf. That kind of makes sense. Obviously Azeroth elf, that's like the super generic default everyone would assume. But then you think about, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. But it's how the dragons formed from the elementals, which means that I'm not sure the timeline. It's hard to get an actual number because we just don't know the ancient history that well in those timelines. But effectively speaking, it's a toss-up between trolls or dragons being first. And if dragons are first, then Azeroth could fully well be a dragon. And using the dragon elves as the, hey, this is a progenitor spawn point of dragons. This happened ages before the trolls. They could say that, and then be like, oh, fuck yeah. So Azeroth is naturally more likely a dragon. And that would also explain why dragons take elven forms, because maybe one form of Azeroth is an elf. Maybe Azeroth is a dragon that takes an elf form. Something like that.
And that could even make some of the elf stuff make more sense. Yeah. So, interesting. And this is because, all world souls are unique. And Azeroth's has indirectly shaped the planet for aeons. Yeah. Dragons directly tied to Azeroth, who is a sort of dragon progenitor. Once players reach the Dragon Isles, they work directly with Azeroth to reshape the world. The story here is the planet's taken a beating over the last couple of decades, and that's having dire consequences for everyone. And that's what I would love. One of the things... fuck it, this is going to turn into red letter media bullshit. Today, somebody called Michael has got to bring up Star Trek.
Of course. Why not? Go for it.
So, Star Trek TNG, Voyager, TOS, what are they? It's a ship, traveling, adventures. And one of those things with adventures is you don't really have to deal with the consequences as much. Now, some very, memorable plot lines, of course, in the more Trek, Star Trek, where it's like a literal trek through the stars. Yeah. Sometimes, there's a recurring plot thread, and we do deal with the consequences. One of the reasons why, and I would believe this, look, big Jean-Luc Picard, love him. Love. I know it's Jean-Luc Picard. Just somebody might not. No, I don't know. I love it. I love that cast. But I do think the overall best show is Deep Space Nine. I am one of those people. And one of the reasons why a lot of the Deep Space Nine people love it, and one of the things they tried to accomplish when they were writing that show, and it's also one of the things I love about, say, a show like Battlestar Galactica, which obviously Ronald D. Moore, he went on to that after being a Deep Space Nine writer. One of the things about Deep Space Nine, because it's set in this space station, right, is they have to deal with the consequences because they're in the same fucking location.
Oh yeah, they can't just go
dealing
and
with the
goodbye.
same issues. And that's what a lot of people really loved. Just seeing the consequences. Our characters having to live with some of their decisions a bit more. And that leads to things like the whole Dominion arc. That's like some of the, really some of the best storytelling in that franchise. Incredible stuff. And, it's also great to just have some, diversity within that franchise. Different types of stories, different formats of stories. And one of the reasons why I would love this idea for an expansion is the consequences. Because we have felt so detached from the average Joe in Azeroth. I mean, Marshall McBride. Now, we can't talk about Marshall McCree anymore. He's been changed. Your man, was it Gyron Stoutmantle? Just chilling in Westfall. Oh, yeah. And remember how cool it was to see him in Wrath and the Westfall Brigade? And it's like, what happened to them? How's he doing? How are all just these people in Azeroth after all this mad shit that's went on? And, people, it's like, it's nice to be like, oh, look, that's a reference to Vanilla in the Shadowlands. That character died. But that's not really dealing with the consequences of the living, breathing people in Azeroth. Yeah. So storytelling-wise, I'd love that idea. Now, this is why I brought up Mr. Bruce the Willis. Azeroth, as a character, is described sort of like Lilu from The Fifth Element. I don't know if you've watched The Fifth Element. It's completely bonkers.
I love it to pieces.
Luc Besson, you fucking madman.
Incredible movie.
But there's this character, Lilu, who's like really important, really powerful for every reason, but is sort of extremely naive.
Yeah.
So like her development is way below like how powerful she is, like kind of what she is. So, you know, a supreme being with the mind of a child. Players will basically help Azeroth unlock her powers to heal the planet. She is in a temple on the Dragon Isles with Thrall and Rathian. I mean, hey, that's fun. Get a bit of Metzen back.
Earth Warders. Look at that.
Yeah. Lots of Earth Warder lore as the three of them try to do what Deathwing couldn't. Fundamentally, I'm grand with that.
Yeah, of course.
I really am. I mean, I know it's a really big step for the lore, but perhaps the only way to pay off the current Azeroth storyline without completely fucking up Azeroth is to have Azeroth pop up as this Lilu-like character, where, you know, it's not literally Azeroth cracks and, you know, now we're just living on the shoulder of a big lady in space, which obviously wouldn't work.
Sounds good to me.
You know, it's like, oh, great. You know, I used to be in this cozy little town. Now my cozy little town is on Aman'Thul's jockstrap. Oh, no. Right? I mean, if Azeroth's born, someone's got to be... You know, oh, great, I live in Azeroth's armpit.
Well, I mean...
if it's that thing of the egg hatching, you know? So I think a Lilu sort of way of doing it's great.
So, I mean, okay, you say, you know, big shoulder of a lady going through space would be really stupid. No, because the super dimensional fortress Macross was completely happy to be just a colony ship that also transformed into humanoid form. And sure, it was very annoying for all the people in the internal cities to have to go in and barricade themselves whenever they needed to transform for combat. But at the same time, you know, what's to say Azeroth can't be a planet and then transform into humanoid dragon Azeroth and then back into planet Azeroth? I'm sure that's completely fine and reasonable.
That's just a bit OP. Just a smidge OP.
Why not? Why not?
Oh, dear. So, yeah, right. That's supposedly that direction. Now, Azeroth's got her own talent tree that looks very much like old school talents in Classic. Players can help her by training her on this tree, and the talents are usable by players through the World Bond ability. These new abilities are like Covenant abilities, but there's no locked-in choices. Everyone just can progress through the whole thing and just unlock all the abilities. So a little bit more like your artifact weapon, I suppose. Yeah. Abilities have secondary effects depending on the zone you're in. One example is an ability like Abomination Limb that also works as a grapple hook. Who the hell knows how that would be?
God only knows.
That seems, you know, I mean, seems messy, but it also seems like it wouldn't really have the fundamental issues of Covenants.
Yep.
But also, could you say that feels like borrowed power? I would have to say this would have to be not active in instances, not active in raids, and just be a, hey, we're making Azeroth more fun to exist in for open world content, which would basically make this more of an extrapolation of the Cypher of the first one system, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And also, here's what this isn't going to be nice to have to say, but they have not solved the borrowed power problem. As in, there is no philosophical solution to the fact that they don't know how to progress our classes in a way that isn't just going to power creep. Which means that more than likely 10.0 will have a nicer form of borrowed power, if at all. And that's the thing that's like keeps it being relatively reasonable in my head. Is it's like, yep, we're going to get borrowed power, but the problems with it, or as many of the problems as possible, will be removed. So it'll be like, yeah, this is borrowed power, fuck it, but it's going to be abilities, it's going to feel good while you have it, and there you go.
There's something here from Aeroslot who just said Argus was born with that planet Argus getting destroyed. I don't believe so.
Argus wasn't born. Argus was kind of early-ish manifested.
He was
so it's
slurped up for a boss fight. Yeah. But we do know that a fully born Titan is bigger than a planet, and we know that from the art of Sargeras just going boom and slicing a planet in two.
Yeah.
Or Aman'Thul just being like, all right, you Sharj.
Yeah.
Of course, creating the Well of Eternity.
Yeah, but also, you know, Azeroth could just be a physical manifestation of her spirit, because metaphysics of World of Warcraft aren't supremely cleanly defined, nor should they be, because fuck that.
Yep, I am pro soft magic systems. I think they can sometimes allow for more creative storytelling.
Indeed.
But, yeah. Okay, so there's that. Right. Now, the Dragon Isle zones are apparently going to change over time via world shaping. And at the same time, I'm going to mute my laptop. There are some pretty cool massive changes. Apparently, a whole zone can turn from a desert into a forest. So maybe that's just like a patch happens.
Yeah.
And then the zone changes or something. But anyway, whatever it is, That could be really cool. Now, the zone is heavily elf-focused, with night elves trying to discover a way to restore Teldrassil. Good. With Azeroth's help. Yep. Also good. You plant trees and tend to a huge forest, like a massive version of the Mop farm. This is what we call very good.
Yeah, there is one caveat I would suggest. If this is going to be a weird thing, because I feel like Azeroth, if Azeroth is helping, Azeroth probably wouldn't want night elves to just butcher another race, because they're all Azeroth's children. But I think people would definitely want, and I hope Blizzard would understand, people want this, that if there is a forest where we have to plant trees, the catalyst to planting them must be the blood of many, many orcs. I think that's what people would want to see. Wait, of course, orcs aren't from Azeroth. Azeroth will be fine with that. Sweet. Oh God.
Oh dear. I mean, look, jokes aside, a big mop farm, cool. Yeah. Not everyone's going to like it, but that's fine. Mm-hmm. Turns out it's good for a game to be nice and broad with lots of things for everyone to enjoy. Yep. Now, this world shaping will unlock new abilities in zones. Water walking, flying, teleporting, spectral sight, treasure finding. So if this just means that for some of their zones, they can add like another unique to that zone, just like a little layer, then that's great. Some older zones then in Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor will be getting big updates during the expansion. Now, this is something that is featured in multiple sort of fake leaks or whatever. I will just say, the idea of an expansion being able to basically march through the world that we love, just slowly over time doing new things for the zones, I would love that. I mean, imagine an expansion that lasts for 3 years. It's kind of able to have a more vanilla-like, faster patch cadence that's kind of just focusing on, like, revitalizing the world. I don't know, that seems like kind of daring and cool to me.
Yeah, because this is one thing that I think is very interesting. You have to think why expansions exist. And there's... The only real reason is... there's a couple of reasons. There's like marketing, there's boxed sales, there's major changes that take a long time to develop and working them in. There's like really radical changes. But they're all just frameworks. There's no reason you can't have that. God, forgive me for saying this, but there's no reason you can't take a more live servicey general approach as opposed to an expansion based approach, which is more, is this going to get a massive expansion that radically changes everything? Not really. Is it, however, going to be designed with longer term progress in mind? And, instead of having this bullshit, here's the I guess at this point, the 9.2, wait a year for your expansion. Why is it not like maybe not 3 month or 6 month consistently, but no, you're looking like here's a patch here's a patch, 4 months, 6 months for however many years. There's no real reason you can't think outside the box and do that, if you get me. It would just require the patches to be a little bit bigger than usual, and it would destroy all your money that it comes in, so it'll never happen. But yeah.
So it's something I'd love that. And you know what? Even if they did that, and a part of this was just saying, okay, we're going to reuse a whole bunch of content because we're going to make expansion 11 really big, but we're going to spend 3 years or longer making it. And, maybe the last year of this expansion is just zone stuff. Mm-hmm. Sure, I already like those zones. I'd already like to have a well-designed reason to go back to them. So perhaps there is a financially and production efficient way to make the most out of that content they've already made. I'm totally here to play the world, not the patch zone, 1,000,000%. And if that would end up being a better work-life balance or just a better production for Blizzard, then I think that would be a really great win, actually. Absolutely. So now let's talk about Black Dragons. So apparently, this is going to be what we'll be playing, and also, if I can find the darn thing, where is it? No, there was a super message. I was actually saving it for this segment. Anyway, it was about the idea of being a Black Dragon Paladin. I'm like, fuck let's go. Look, Black dragons. Apparently they're a playable race. Apparently they work like Worgen, where you customize your dragon form and humanoid appearances. Humanoids can be any race, including the humanoid form can be any race, including allied races. That would be in line with dragon lore. As an example, Chromie. Chromie decided to change things up when it was time. Was it the Visage Day or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
So a dragon can decide to be a gnome. That makes sense with the lore then, like this. Extra customization options for the humanoid forms, though, are including horns, tails, jewelry, scales, as well as some other effects. Could you make yourself a friggin' aura?
I guess that's what people are suggesting. It's just copying FF14. Ah!
Cool. I'll take that. Burning eyes, molten blood. Apparently that's a cool effect. Hey, sweet. And look, the idea that, for some people, they'd be like, oh, wait, how does that work? How can I turn into a dragon? How's that fair and balanced? Just make going into your dragon form be like a cast time and, make it follow mount restrictions in the same way that you obviously, if you're a dragon, but you're inside, you're going to bump your head. It's not good being a dragon in a cave, is it? So that's not even an issue.
Also, dragons don't really have hands.
True.
Yeah, can't have a cup of tea as a dragon. Need to turn into a humanoid form.
Would it not be so cool just having a custom dragon form? I mean, shit.
Definitely a little bit out there in a couple of ways.
Oh, but that's out there in the way that it'll make so much money for Blizzard.
Yeah, it's kind of...
Bobby, do you want another yacht? This is how you get your yacht, Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. By creating long-term enterprise value and having your stocks go up. Absolutely. That's how we do it. By making the game and all the games in the product line very good.
No, instead of making a happy Ian Hazacostas and WoW team, just turn them all into foie gras.
Yeah.
That's how we do it in AAA game development.
It's weird to me. The idea of this new race having all of the effort and also being able to be any race is like, I kind of get the point, but also imagine not wanting to be a black dragon and be like, I see 70% of the expansion development time has gone on to this new fucking race. But I suppose that's one of the things, I suppose.
All I know is whenever allied races were announced, it was big. Mm-hmm. I think my allied races video was 1.7 million views.
Yeah.
Matt,
that was a lot.
I cracked that thing out in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
In I was literally just, hey everyone, look at this cool new feature they just announced at BlizzCon. Drag files in to edit, hit publish.
Yep.
But that just shows people are like fucking lapping this shit up.
Yeah, and then they
must have done so well for Blizzard, the allied races. I mean, certainly pre-order sales. Holy shit. So Black Dragons then, customization stuff seems awesome. The dragon form is mainly used for travel. There's 2 racial abilities. The story's going to explain why the Black Dragons need to learn how to fly like mortals. Sure, you can handwave that, whatever. They can be warriors, mages, rogues, druids, hunters, warlocks, priests, shamans, and paladins, all the original classes. The Black Dragon druid lore and shapeshift forms are apparently super fun. Holy shit. Could you imagine that? That would be so cool. Rathian. He's been trying to restore the Black Dragon since Cataclysm. Players are new dragons that Rathian has been overseeing in the Dragon Isles. Which, of course, makes sense. I mean, Rathian's like, there was times he's going about being like, yes, I'm Rathian. I have high and mighty ideals. I'm a deep thinker. And it's like, dude, you're 3 years old. So, that makes sense with what dragons growing up fast is like. So Rathian's recruited / kidnapped, but that would be Rathian, class trainers from across Azeroth to train the new flight. The Warlock trainer will cause some players to flip out. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Since the battle with Deathwing, all dragon aspects have been losing their magic. Well, we kind of rekindled things a little bit in 8.2, right? I could be misremembering. But there was the whole Age of Mortals and our eyes don't glow as much anymore thing. New dragons, players, need to learn how to fight alongside mortal races and save their race. Rathian's big thing is reversing the loss of magic from dragons completely and protecting his flight. There's no big bad in Tenno, but there are infinite dragons, very poggers, Netherwing, Yum Yum, and some new Dragon Isle specific proto races that are apparently pretty fun. He says there's a pretty fun Trog progenitor race that's actually super advanced and intelligent. That could be neat. Going back to the smaller contained sort of zone stories, which is always been Blizzard's strength, so that would be great. And also that's where like I feel like the narrative team, they are really good at making these like big expansive, you know, lore things that they then just cannot capitalize on at all in game. But I think that their strengths could be applied to loads of like just world building and zone stories really well. I actually think that would fit the team's strengths, and surely it would allow for more creative freedom than being like, oh, we have to build our world and tell a perfectly paced plot for this set of characters. It's like, well, it's an RPG, we're adventurers, just make the world really awesome and we kind of make our own story. Keely, thank you for the $10 sticker. Oh, cute. I like super stickers. So yeah, smaller contained stories. I want that. A focus on discovery, soft rebooting Azeroth the planet, and setting up future conflicts. So I really hope this is true.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that I think it's true. I'm not going to call a shot on it, but I really hope it's true because I think this is really interesting. I think this would be a shakeup in the format of WoW. It would celebrate what everyone knows we love, which is Azeroth.
Yeah.
So I'm 100%. I'm in for this. I'm in.
See,
take me along.
I don't think it's real, only because I don't know if there's ever been a time we've really had a leak that actually proved really true. Not that I can remember.
No, there has been.
Oh,
Warlords of Draenor was straight leaked.
Oh yeah,
I don't think anyone really believed it. For some reason, I think. Oh, Caligula! Oh my god!
Caligula.
Thank you. I think was Legion leaked? There was a time where there was actually lots of pretty just like pretty credible leaks that were spot on. And certainly like in the TBC Wrath days, it's like, all right, we're gonna follow up Warcraft 3. Pretty obvious. Cataclysm, that was leaked as well, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah. Also, I think with general employee satisfaction going down, and then also the possibility of high attrition, I think there's a decent chance of people, someone could leak this out of some sort of fuck this, whatever kind of attitude if they were an outsider on the team.
It was BFA leaked. Well, it was certainly leaked by Blizzard, who accidentally posted.
That's right.
They accidentally, in patch 7.3's PTR, included a bit of armor that had Culturass on it.
Oh yeah.
Whoops!
I remember that. That was something.
Yep, I am sure somebody was a bit pissed off at Blizzard then.
Yeah. Also, one thing I think is actually the thing that makes it feel credible overall as a leak to me is, and I don't want to sound like an absolute doomer.
Shadowlands was leaked.
Was it?
Remember the stuff of the Lich King's eyes turning color? That was just pointed out to us in chat by Rebus.
I don't even remember that.
Ribister? I remember that. Were they fake leaks that were spot on, but I remember there being something there, yeah.
Yeah, no, so I don't want to sound like a doomer, but my point is that this sounds just wrong enough to be true.
I know what you mean, yeah.
I'm trying to imagine, given how Shadowlands has been executed, what Azeroth's dialogue will be like, or how her awakening will be handled, and I'm already cringing like ahead of time.
What's the opposite word of pitiful?
Pitiful more. Blessed? No, I don't know.
Respectable mortals.
Yeah, respectable children of mine. I am now awakened. You've done. No, I don't know. That end up going on a different character ride, but I can just imagine the kind of going, this is really kind of. I can also see a lot of like massive questions been opened through this that they just completely ignore, and how it would end up being a focus on it's Wrathion and Azeroth talking, and what's happened to all of our other characters. Who knows? I could see all of the ways it could go Shadowlandsy, and this is why I'm thinking maybe, the people who made Shadowlands trying to do an Azeroth expansion, I can see this kind of having a lot of that vibe. Although I would imagine they would focus on something different than Black Dragons. I imagine they'd focus on something new. But that's kind of my feeling overall.
Sergius has just made me realize that. Yep. Has just made me realize that, in fact, Illidan stole himself a vial of gamer girl bathwater.
Yeah,
this is true.
Yes.
But like, I was even thinking about the Magni thing. Because like, if Magni goes back, it's because Azeroth doesn't need a speaker anymore.
Yeah, she can speak for herself.
Speak for herself. So it's like, is that, how much of, it's like, we're either talking to Magni about Azeroth and he talks to her, or, I mean, not literally, he has a conversation with her, he like feels her emotions and stuff, but it's not that much of a change, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we'd be adventuring with her or anything cool like that, I imagine. It would be, she would likely be in some form of dormancy state, and Magni would be, maybe you could get a little bit of, and well, obviously this is sort of stealing a joke someone else made about, if Magni was a diamond and you could see through him, does that make him a transparent? For a parent, So.
What?
Transparent parent.
Whoa.
So if that had me thinking maybe Magni could be the father figure to this like childish Azeroth if she is a little bit like childlike, as opposed to coming out being like, I've been philosophically thinking about the events of my planet for
oh my god,
however many years.
I finally worked out the name of the expansion.
Yeah.
It's called World of Warcraft: The Seventh Fractal, starring Bruce Willis. Yes!
He's got it.
It would be perfect. It would be perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, fantastic.
But yeah, no, that's a thing I could see happening. Magni being the father figure, Azeroth being this young, sort of, not young, but ancient baby thing. And it's been like, for fuck's sake, who left the child gate open? Azeroth's running about Ungoro Crater. What if a dinosaur eats her? Ah, shit. Obviously, that would probably be better than, most things, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh man, sorry, awesome dude. I think Nightbot just gave you a slap for no good reason.
Yeah.
Aggressive fella, that Nightbot. Yeah. So there we go, everyone. Leaks. Leaks. Are they real? Are they fake? Look, probably fake realistically, but I thought it made for a pretty cool conversation. So there we go. We'll have to see what happens.
Absolutely.
Have to see what happens.
Can you imagine actually getting Bruce Willis for it? Can you imagine?
That would be the lamest thing on earth. That would be... Oh, I don't know if you know, but like, I think Bruce Willis, he's kind of made himself over to that tier where
phoning everything in.
He's making those like, I think it's like a tier above the random Steven Seagal movies.
Oh Jesus!
But I saw one on Amazon Prime called it was John Travolta, I Am Wrath. That was so implausible. Oh, so implausible. Oh man. Okay, there we go. Leak done.
Yep.
Now it's time for the Lego rep.
Oh, hang on, that's a great idea. So, Kai says NFTs and WoW when you have your own NFT Azeroth toddler that follows you around. That's it. I feel like I could definitely be a C-levels or C-suite executive at this point. There's so many ideas that come naturally that are just pure, like unfiltered evil that just work.